Confirmation that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has signed a new 3-year deal is brilliant news to start the weekend. We all know that won't save Ole if things go awry, and it won't stop the doubters who argue that we're still trophyless since Ole replaced Mourinho. But just take a look at our squad and it's clear we've made huge progress in the past 2.5 years, and Ole is on the brink of doing something good. Now he's getting the squad and the players that he really wants. As Ole proudly states, it is an exciting time for Manchester United. We've built a squad with a good balance of youth and experienced players that are hungry for success. This, in my view, is the season we must be ready to challenge for the title. And it was great to see Ole finally get his man this week when we completed one of the longest drawn-out transfers in our history. Jadon Sancho, without doubt, is a fantastic signing. He's a hugely exciting addition to a squad that's starting to look like the real deal. Hopefully, Raphael Varane is also going to join our boys soon. And while the Glazers are trying to win the fans' favour, how about a Jack Grealish and a Declan Rice thrown in? That would be good for good measure. But sometimes keeping the stars we already have is just as important as new recruits. I'd argue the biggest decision Ole and his recruitment team must get right in this transfer window is whether or not to fight to keep Paul Pogba at Old Trafford. The Paul Pogba debate is now very much back in the spotlight, and it's a subject that seems to divide fans like no other. Should Paul Pogba stay or should he go? We all know that no player is bigger than Manchester United Football Club, but we also know that we need great players who have special skills to be successful and to get the top honours. What's the big mystery to me is why the levels of hate for Paul Pogba from a large volume of fans is unprecedented in the history of Manchester United Football Club. It really is surprising that so much hate can be shown to a Manchester United player. I just don't understand why so many fans judge him quite so harshly, but clearly they do. I already know what the majority of responses will be when I ask, should Manchester United increase our offer of a new mega contract that we're told the Frenchman has already rejected? Or do we cash in before Paul winds down his existing contract and potentially walks away for free in 12 months' time? Whatever you're thinking, and I still believe we can get much more out of Paul Pogba, I'm intrigued by why it is that arguably our most talented player receives so much hate from certain parts of the Manchester United following. He doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't have a gambling problem. He's never in trouble. In fact, he's a model professional. He's a World Cup winner and a supreme athlete with undoubted skills. But he's not perceived to always give everything while wearing the famous red shirt of Manchester United Football Club. And that's the dilemma for some fans. Does his heart really belong at Old Trafford? For every match he's been brilliant, there are other occasions he's been anonymous. Far too many, we would all agree on that. And yes, his agent is the most divisive, unlikable character who gets 0 out of 10 for charm and diplomacy. Having said that, Mino Raiola is actually an elite negotiator who served his clients well in maximising their commercial potential. And that's what he's trying to do right now as United decide whether or not to extend our relationship with the mercurial Frenchman. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe Paul Pogba has been overhyped beyond his worth. The media are not innocent either. They love to put stars on a pedestal and then take huge delight in knocking them down again. They've always done so. Jose Mourinho certainly fueled the argument when he failed to get the best out of Paul Pogba and then called him a virus. Wow, it doesn't get much more personal than that. Mourinho, in my mind, has an awful lot to answer for. But that still does not explain the hate for an elite player who's provided us with some magical moments during his time at Manchester United. Now, please don't get me wrong. This next statement is in no way a comparison, because the player I'm going to mention now is, in my opinion, the absolute greatest of all time, certainly in my lifetime, a genius, a talent without equal. But just think about how harshly we judge Paul Pogba when you consider that my all-time favourite footballer, George Best, did not always turn up for matches, never mind training. And I wouldn't bet my life savings on saying that George was never under the influence of drink when he was wearing the red shirt of Manchester United Football Club. But George is universally loved, always will be, and rightly so. There is no more popular player in the history of our football club than George Best. I will always defend George when his memory is criticised by those who insist he never fulfilled his absolute potential because he left United when he was still only 27. I will always defend George when detractors say he spent too much time making commercials and pursuing off-the-field activities. The difference, of course, is that George Best won it all and he was the ultimate entertainer. Paul Pogba has never been on the same planet as George when it comes to skill, but in comparison he is a model professional. He's never complained about how he's used in the team or when he's not been selected. So why does he attract so much hate? Criticism I can accept, absolutely. We all know Pogba has fallen short of reaching the heights he should have achieved as our most expensive player of all time. We all want to see our heroes give absolutely everything when wearing that red shirt. We want to see our players look like they're fighting and ready to die with their boots on and fighting to make United great again at all times. But don't forget, Paul Pogba is a kid from our academy who went away to prove himself in Italy and came back to the football club he's loved playing for so many years, ever since he started out in the academy. And he's not the first player to make it known he wants the club to sign top players. That's a trademark requirement for all top players at every club. I remember when the super talented Thierry Henry regularly threw his arms in the air in frustration when he was surrounded by inferior players at Arsenal Football Club. Let's be clear, the best players all want to play with the best players. It's always been that way. Another of my heroes, Dennis Law, often told me that playing football is easy when you're playing with the great players. And the Lawman obviously played with the very best. So don't you just wonder how good Paul Pogba could be for United if he was surrounded by the absolute top quality, just like he is when he plays for France. I know before I finish speaking that many will say that Paul Pogba is simply not worth all the fuss that he brings to playing for Manchester United. Sometimes his presence makes United seem like a circus. He is certainly not blameless, but maybe, just maybe, Paul Pogba's best is still to come. He's still only 28. Imagine how great Paul Pogba could be playing in a truly top quality squad that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing his best to assemble. We call it the Theatre of Dreams because Old Trafford is like a stage for the greatest players on the planet to perform. And I, for one, will never stop dreaming of glories to come at Old Trafford. So, let me leave you with one final thought. Let's just show Paul Pogba a little love and then let's see what happens then.